Hello, my name is Alex, and today I will be speaking about the passive voice. So first, I wanted to speak only about the continuous forms in the passive voice, but I've decided to speak about all of the forms now and about the passive voice in general. So I have a few slides to show you. So let's start with number one. So, for example, here we have a house here. Yeah. So we say this house was built in 1935. So this is past simple, right? Why do we use past simple? Because we talk about the exact time in the past, so 1935. So was built in the sentence is passive. So for example, let's compare. Somebody built this house in 1935. This is active voice, and this house was built in 1935 is passive. So here, in the first sentence, somebody is the subject of the sentence, and this house is the object. When we make it passive voice out of that sentence, so the house becomes the subject, right? So why? What's the difference? When do we choose either one? So we choose passive when we don't care or when it's not important who did the action. We care about the object, the result of this action. So somebody built the house. This house is the result. It was built. So this is the passive. So this is the difference. Or for example, Shakespeare wrote many plays, right? So this is the active voice, and many plays were written by Shakespeare. So here in this passive voice, we care mostly about the result. The subject Shakespeare, it doesn't really matter who did this. For example, when we use an active verb, we say what the subject does. My grandfather was a builder. He built this house in 1935. And it's a big company. It employs 200 people. So these two sentences are used in active voice. Here, when we use a passive verb, we say what happens to the subject, right? So we care about the subject here. This house is quite old. It was built in 1935. 200 people are employed by the company. So this is the passive voice again. So this house is quite old. It was built in 1935, and 200 people are employed by the company. So even the company, the word company here isn't important. So we care about the people in the second sentence. And the first sentence, we care when the house was built. Not by who, but when and what. When we use the passive, who or what causes the action is often unknown or unimportant. I already said that. So a lot of money was stolen in the robbery. Somebody stole it, but we don't know who. Is the room cleaned every day? Does somebody clean it? It's not important who. One more time, when we use the passive, who or what causes the action is often unknown or unimportant. A lot of money was stolen in the robbery. Somebody stole it, but we don't know who, or it doesn't matter who. Is this room cleaned every day? Does somebody clean it? So we don't care who this is being cleaned by. It's not important. If we want to say who does or what causes the action, we use the preposition by, right? This house was built by my grandfather, and 200 people are employed by the company. So again, if you want to say who does or what causes the action, we use by, the preposition by. This house was built by my grandfather, and 200 people are employed by the company. Okay, so the passive is be, is, we, etc. plus past participle, done, cleaned, seen, etc. Be done, be cleaned, be damaged, be built, be seen. One more time. So we form the passive with the verb to be, in present is, in past it was, plus past participle, or the third form of the verb, done, clean, seen, etc. So be done, be cleaned, be damaged, be built, be seen. Okay. The next slide. So now present simple. So active cleans, sees, right? Somebody cleans the room every day. And passive, am is are plus cleaned, seen, etc. This room is cleaned every day. So this is present simple. Many accidents are caused by careless driving. I'm not often invited to parties. How is this word pronounced? Right? So if we use the sentences in active voice, we would say, careless driving causes many accidents. Or people don't invite me often to parties for some weird reason. And how is this word pronounced? We say, how do you pronounce this? Right? So the past simple now. So active voice. Cleaned, saw. Somebody cleaned the room yesterday. Passive. Was verb plus cleaned, seen, etc. This room was cleaned yesterday. And more examples. We were woken up by a loud noise during the night. Did you go to the party? No, I wasn't invited. How much money was stolen in the robbery? So one more time, if we use them in active voice in the past. So a loud noise woke us up in the middle of the night. Did you go to the party? No, nobody invited me. And how much money was stolen at the robbery? How much money did the robbers steal? Right? So the next slide here. Again, so infinitive, active, do, clean, see. Yes, somebody will clean the room later. The room will be cleaned later. So this is the example of the future forms, right? So again, we may use passive voice in every tense pretty much, in most tenses. So active and passive. So situation is serious. Somebody must be done before it's too late. So here is the example of passive used with modal verbs. So in this case, it's must. So one more time. So the situation is serious. Somebody must be done. Something must be done before it's too late. So this is the example of the modal verb used here. In this case, it's must. A mystery is something that can't be explained. Again, inability. The music was very loud and could be heard from a long way away. Again, it's past ability. A new supermarket is going to be built next year. So, construction going to planned action in the future. And then please go away, I want to be left alone. Just a desire, right? To be left alone. One more time. So the situation is serious. Something must be done before it's too late. Modal verb. A mystery is something that can't be explained. Ability. In this case, inability. The music was very loud and could be heard from a long way away. Ability in the past. A new supermarket is going to be built next year. Going to be construction. Planned future. And please go away, I want to be left alone. So this is just the expression of a desire here. So let's look at the next slide. So here, we may also use passive voice in perfect tenses. So for example, active, to have plus done, cleaned, seen, etc. Somebody should have cleaned the room, right? We use modal in the past. So modal in the past, they take the perfect form because they don't have their own form. So in this case, it's should. So somebody should have cleaned the room. So the passive voice have been plus done, cleaned, seen. So the room should have been cleaned, right? Somebody didn't clean it. It should have been cleaned. More examples here. I haven't received the letter yet. It might have been sent to the wrong address. Might doesn't have the past form. We use have been. In the passive, if you hadn't left the car locked, it would have been stolen. So here, this is the example of a conditional sentence. This is the third conditional here, by the way. So if you hadn't left the car unlocked, it would have been stolen, right? So you left it alone and it was stolen. There were some problems at first, but they seem to have been solved. So we think that they have been solved. So we think that somebody solved them, right? So here is the example. You can see the example of perfect tenses. The next one. Again, so present perfect, more of that. So present perfect, active. have or has plus done, etc. The room looks nice, somebody has cleaned it. Active voice. So let's put it into passive. Passive, have, has been plus done, etc. The room looks nice, it has been cleaned, right? So here we don't care who did this, we only care about the results. So the room looks nice, and it has, so because it has been cleaned. Okay, so have you heard the concert has been cancelled? Or if you use it in active, have you heard they canceled the accent, right? In everyday speech, we don't use passive voice much like this, so you would rather hear people say they've canceled the concert, right? But if you speak a more formal version of English, you would hear passive voice used a lot. So, have you ever been bitten by a dog? Are you going to the party? No, I haven't been invited. No, they haven't invited me. For example, a more informal language. So past perfect, had plus done, etc. The room looked nice. Somebody had cleaned it, yeah. In the passive voice, had been plus done, etc. The room looked nice. It had been cleaned by somebody. Again, we don't care about who. We only care about the result. More examples of it. So the vegetables didn't taste very good. They had been cooked too long. The car was 3 years old, but it hadn't been used very much. All right. So the next one here. So we also may use the continuous form. Not a lot of people studying languages, studying English, they don't know a lot about this form, but it exists. So please try to use it in your speech, so that will make you sound more like a native speaker. So for example, present continuous. Am is are plus ing. Somebody is cleaning the room at the moment, so this is the continuous form. So the action is happening right now. So the passive is am is are plus being done. The room is being cleaned at the moment, right? So if, for example, if we use just simple, a present simple, somebody cleans the room every day. The passive is the room is cleaned every day. But if it's happening right now, so somebody is cleaning the room at the moment, so the room is being cleaned at the moment. There is somebody walking behind us. I think we're being followed. So somebody's following us in a shop. Can I help you? No, thank you. I'm being served. Like, I don't need your help. I'm speaking to another shop assistant, for example. And of course, past continuous. Was were plus doing. So somebody was cleaning the room when I arrived. And the passive form is was were plus being done. So the room was being cleaned when I arrived. One more time. So somebody was cleaning the room when I arrived, and the room was being cleaned when I arrived. So this is the continuous form. If we're speaking about the simple form, we would say it like this. So somebody cleaned the room, so the room was cleaned, and the room is cleaned. Yeah, that's the passive form, basically. So these are all the forms of the passive voice. Again, the rule is we use the active voice when we care mostly about who does the action, and the passive voice is used when we care about the subject or what is being done, right? For example, again, one more time. So my grandfather built the house, active. The house was built by my grandfather. That's the simple, perfect. I have done my homework. My homework has been done. And the continuous. I'm cleaning the room. The room is being cleaned by me. Okay, so this has been a nice lesson about the passive forms. Well, so I'll see you next week. Again, my name is Alex, so stay tuned and be careful, guys. See you.